Do you think social division can be healthy for a democracy? At the end of this lesson, you should be able to explore the various forms of diversity in our everyday environment. State with examples how prejudice can lead to discrimination. Explain how the Constitution compels us to respect diversity. It was an incident in 1893 when Gandhiji was in South Africa. He was thrown off a train in South Africa after refusing to move from the first-class coach to a third-class coach while holding a valid first-class ticket. Why do you think Gandhiji was thrown off in spite of having a valid first-class ticket? During that period, first-class train coaches were reserved for white people only. Gandhiji faced racial discrimination due to apartheid rules which discriminated whites against blacks, Indians and other colored races. This incident was actually a trigger for Gandhiji to start his fight against racism, inequality and discrimination. Let us look at another real story from Mexico Olympics. This is an image of the medal ceremony of 200-meter race in the 1968 Olympics held at Mexico City. The two men standing with clenched fists, upraised and heads bowed while American national anthem was played are the US athletes Tommie Smith and John Carlos. These two African Americans won the gold and bronze medal respectively. They received their medals wearing black socks and no shoes to represent black poverty. The black-gloved, raised clenched fists were meant to symbolize black power. The silver medalist, white Australian athlete Peter Norman, wore a human right badge on his shirt to show his support to both the Americans. Why do you think they went to receive their medals in such a gesture? With such a gesture, they tried to draw international attention to racial discrimination in the United States. The International Olympic Association held Carlos and Smith guilty of violating the Olympic spirit by political statement. Their medals were taken back and they were subjected to lots of criticism. Norman too suffered as he was not included in the Australian team for next Olympic. Why do you think Norman supported Smith and Carlos? Norman, who was neither black nor American, supported it as he wanted to oppose racial discrimination in the United States. They succeeded in gaining international attention for the civil rights movement in the United States. Do you think that Carlos and Smith raised an internal matter of American society in an international forum? Though it was violation of sports spirit, such a protest was required to bring international attention for racial discrimination in the country. Recently, the San Jose State University, of which they were former students, honored them and installed their statue in the university campus. Does the social division occur only in the societies that have racial division? No, recall Belgium and Sri Lanka from previous lessons. In Belgium, people living in different regions speak different languages. In Sri Lanka, there were linguistic as well as religious differences. Do we find such social differences in our country as well? Many Dalit groups in India keep on protesting against economic and social inequalities. Thus, social diversity can take different forms in different societies. How do these children get their complexion? They inherited their complexion from their parents. We all inherit our complexion from our parents. Such social differences are mostly based on incident of birth. We belong to a particular community because we were born into it. People around us have different gender, complexion, height, abilities and disabilities. Do you think all the social differences are based only on birth? No, there are people who are atheists and do not believe in God. Sometimes people may choose a religion other than the one they were born. People may choose their occupation. People may choose any games or any cultural activity. These lead to the formation of social groups based on our choices. Thus, social differences are formed either from birth or from choices. Let us look at Northern Ireland and Netherlands. Both are predominantly Christians, but divided between Catholics and Protestants. In Northern Ireland, social class and religion overlap with each other, where Catholics are more likely to be poor and suffered from discrimination. But in Netherlands, both Catholics and Protestants are about equally likely to be rich and poor. How do you expect the societies in both the regions to be? There had always been a conflict between Catholics and Protestants in Northern Ireland, but they live peacefully in Netherlands. How do people live peacefully in Netherlands in spite of religious differences? Social division takes place when some social difference overlaps with other that happened in Northern Ireland. But in Netherlands, social divisions such as religion and economic status cross-cut each other. If social differences cross-cut one another, it is difficult to pit one group of people against the other. The groups that share a common interest on one issue are likely to be in different side on a different issue that can be seen in Netherlands. Do you observe any overlapping social differences in the society you live? In our country, Dalits tend to be poor, landless, and often discriminated. Such situations produce social divisions. The difference between blacks and whites becomes social divisions in the US because a large population of black tends to be poor, homeless, and discriminated. It is easy to accommodate cross-cutting social differences rather than overlapping differences. India is a vast country which accommodates many communities. Even being a small country, Belgium is able to accommodate various communities. The countries such as Germany and Sweden that were highly homogeneous are undergoing rapid changes now with influx of people from various parts of the world. Migrants bring with them their own cultures and tend to form a different social community. Presently, most of the countries in the world are multicultural. Therefore, social divisions, whether overlapping or cross-cutting, are an integral part of any democracy in the world. Let us look at Northern Ireland again, which has been the site of violent ethno-political conflict for many years. The population was divided into two major sects of Christianity: Protestant 53%, Roman Catholics 44%. The Catholics were represented by nationalist parties who demanded that Northern Ireland be unified with Republic of Ireland, a predominantly Catholic country. On the other hand, the Protestants, who were represented by Unionists, wanted to remain with United Kingdom. Hundreds of civilians, militants, and security forces were killed in this conflict. The Nationalists suspended their armed struggle only in 1998, when UK government and the Nationalists went for the peace treaty. Thus, combination of social division with politics may result into dangerous situation. Competition between political parties tends to divide the society. Social divisions of one kind or another exist in most countries of the world. In a democracy, there is always a relation between social divisions and political parties. Political parties make different promises to different communities, look after due representation of various communities, or make policies to redress the grievances of disadvantaged communities. At times, social division reflects the voting pattern. People from one community tend to prefer any party than others. Mixing of social divisions to politics does not lead to disintegration of the country, but there are some determinants that decide the outcome of politics of social divisions. Can you infer the factors responsible for outcome of politics of social divisions using the previous examples? A majority of Belgians feel that they are as much as Belgians as Dutch or German speaking. This helps them to stay together. On the other hand, the people of Northern Ireland saw themselves as only Catholic or Protestant. Thus, the outcome of the politics of social divisions depends on how people perceive their identities. The demand raised by political leaders in Sri Lanka for only Sinhalas was at the cost of the interest and identity of Tamil community. But the demand raised by political leaders for development of Dalits in India does not suppress the interest of other communities. Thus, the outcome of the politics of social divisions depends on how political leaders raise the demand of any community. It is easier to accommodate demands that are within the constitutional framework and not at the cost of another community. The Belgian government shaped power to accommodate the reasonable demand of all the communities, but the Sri Lankan government tries to suppress the demand of Tamil community. Thus, the outcome of the politics of social divisions depends on how the government reacts to demands of different groups. If the government wishes to share the power and give attention to minority communities, social divisions become less threatening for a country. Thus, there are three determinants deciding the outcome of the politics of social divisions: the way people perceive their identities, the way political leaders raise the demand of any community, the way government reacts to demands of different groups. In a democracy, political expression of social divisions is very normal and can be healthy. Do you see any advantages of political expression of social divisions? This allows various disadvantaged and marginal social groups to express their grievance. Expression of various kinds of social divisions in politics tends to cancel one another out and reduces the intensity of differences. People who feel marginalized, deprived, or discriminated can fight against injustice through some democratic path. They can voice their demands in a peaceful and constitutional manner, seeking fair position through elections. Democracy is the best way to fight for recognition and also to accommodate diversity.